Under the glow of a quiet night, the story begins not with closure, but with silence. He left not because the love had ended, but because the weight of his own fear was too heavy to carry. Vulnerability terrified him, rejection haunted him, and so he chose the only shield he knew, silence. But that silence has become his prison. Each time he replays the moment he walked away, it pierces him like glass that never stops cutting. The very choice he thought would protect him has turned into the burden that keeps him awake at night. For you, Virgo, it may have felt like abandonment. The unanswered messages, the door closing without explanation, the way his eyes shifted away instead of meeting yours. But the truth is far more complicated. He didn't walk away because he didn't love you. He walked away because he loved you so deeply that showing his heart felt like too great a risk. Now, in the distance, he carries the echo of that decision, and the weight of regret is reshaping him. And here's where the twist begins. Spirit is showing that this regret is not a punishment, it is a spark. The ache of losing you is the very fire that is burning down his old walls. He is learning, slowly, that silence cannot protect him anymore. It only proves one thing: the risk of losing you was far greater than the risk of being vulnerable. And that realization is pulling him back toward you, piece by piece, step by step. If someone's face just appeared in your mind as I spoke these words, leave the first letter of their name in the comments. That may be the sign you were meant to receive today. This message isn't about random predictions or vague promises. It's about confirming what your soul has already been sensing. The separation was never the end. It was the pause, the silence between breaths, the space where transformation had to take root. Right now, your person is not the same as the one who left. The version of them that pulled away was ruled by fear, by scars they carried long before they met you. But that fear has been cracking open, exposing the raw truth underneath. Their love for you never faded. It simply hid behind walls they thought would keep them safe. For you, this might feel like unfinished business, an open wound that never quite closed. You've carried questions, doubts, maybe even anger. Why did they choose silence over honesty? Why walk away from something that felt so real? Spirit is asking you to see that their silence was not rejection, it was avoidance, a defense mechanism rooted in an old story that no longer fits. They had to face that shadow before they could return in truth. And here's the powerful part: this journey wasn't just about them, it's about you too. Their absence has forced you to grow stronger, to step deeper into your own alignment, to recognize your worth independent of anyone else's presence. When two souls are meant to meet again, it isn't about rushing, it's about timing, divine timing. And that timing is now shifting. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you why this return is not a repeat of the past, but a rebirth written into your destiny. The hardest part about this story, Virgo, is that it began with wounds that were never yours to carry. When he pulled back, it wasn't because you weren't enough. It was because life had taught him, long before you arrived, that love was dangerous. Childhood instability, broken trust in past relationships, betrayals that left invisible scars. Each of these moments whispered to him, don't show your heart, don't risk being seen. And so, when he finally felt the depth of his love for you, it triggered the very fear he had been running from all along. That fear made him choose silence, but silence is not neutral. For you, it felt like rejection, abandonment, a dismissal of everything real that had been shared. And for him, that same silence became a cage. Night after night, the weight of what he didn't say has kept him restless, caught between guilt and longing. He thought distance would protect him, but all it has done is magnify the truth. He still feels your presence everywhere, like an echo in the background of his life. challenge, though, is not just his. Spirit shows that this was also a test for you. You've had to face your own questions. Do you wait? Do you close your heart? Do you let the silence convince you that love was an illusion? The real task has been holding faith without losing yourself, keeping your heart open without letting it be defined by his absence. This is where karmic cycles reveal themselves. His choice to withdraw forced both of you into healing. You learned resilience. He learned regret. And now the universe is asking, will the two of you be able to meet again, not as broken halves, but as whole beings ready to love without fear? If you've ever felt that someone's silence spoke louder than words, leave a comment below, because that recognition is part of your healing, too. When people talk about silence, they often imagine it as emptiness. But in truth, silence can be deafening. With him, it wasn't the absence of words that hurt. It was the presence of everything left unsaid. Picture him holding his phone late at night, typing a message only to erase it, staring at your name on the screen with 1,000 emotions locked in his chest. That wasn't indifference. That was fear taking the wheel. He convinced himself that stepping back was safer than stepping forward, safer than letting you see his trembling heart. He carried the belief that if he didn't risk rejection, he couldn't be broken. What he didn't realize was that by refusing to show his vulnerability, he was already breaking something: your trust, your sense of being chosen, your belief in the love you shared. Silence became his shield, but it also became the very blade that cut both of you. Spirit shows me clearly his withdrawal wasn't about a lack of love. It was about too much love. So much, in fact, that it scared him. You represented truth, depth, and commitment. And those things demanded a courage he didn't know how to summon at the time. Instead of stepping into it, he stepped away. And every day since, that choice has echoed back to him in ways he cannot escape. Now he's realizing that the silence he thought was protection has only revealed the depth of his feelings for you. He cannot outrun the memory of your eyes, the warmth of your presence, or the way you made him feel at home in a world that never gave him that kind of peace before. That is why silence is crumbling. It was never sustainable, never meant to last. If you've ever known someone who said nothing, yet their eyes screamed everything, let your heart confirm it in the comments. Karma has a way of circling back when we least expect it. For him, that karma came in the form of restless nights and memories that refused to fade. Every time he thought the silence would give him peace, it instead brought him face to face with regret. The very moment he walked away keeps replaying like a scene on loop, a decision he thought was strength, now exposed as fear. This is the karmic loop. The energy we try to avoid becomes the very energy that haunts us until we confront it. Spirit shows me that his silence was not a clean escape. It was an unfinished story, and the universe never allows unfinished business to simply disappear. That's why he finds himself pulled back to you, not out of convenience, but because his soul knows the lesson isn't complete. The more he tries to distract himself, the louder the reminders become. A song, a scent, a phrase, in passing it all points him back to the connection he thought he could silence. And here lies the warning. If he had tried to return too soon, still carrying the same fears, the same walls, the same avoidance, the cycle would have simply repeated. Spirit does not allow shortcuts in growth. The karmic burden had to weigh on him long enough for real transformation to take root. That is why this pause has stretched as long as it has, because until he breaks the loop, reunion cannot bring peace. For you, Virgo, this cycle has been painful, but it has also been powerful. His silence forced you to look inward, to heal parts of yourself that once craved validation, to find strength in your own voice. You were not abandoned, you were being aligned. And now the question becomes, when karma finally pushes him back to your door, will you recognize the difference between the man who left and the man who returns? If you believe cycles repeat until the lesson is learned, share the word lesson in the comments, because that is the truth shaping this story. Awakening rarely arrives in comfort. It comes through the sting of absence, through the weight of silence that becomes unbearable. For him, that awakening began the moment he realized that no distraction could quiet the ache of missing you. He tried to outrun it with work, with noise, with shallow connections that never touched his soul. Yet every attempt at escape only sharpened the truth. You were not just someone he loved. You were home. Spirit shows that this awakening isn't a sudden epiphany, but a slow unraveling. The Six of Swords mirrors his journey, leaving behind the storm of fear and denial, steering into calmer waters of truth. Each sleepless night, each memory replayed, was another push toward honesty. He is beginning to see that vulnerability is not weakness, but the only doorway to real love. The mask he once wore is cracking, piece by piece, and behind it is the man who finally understands that losing you is the greater risk. There are small moments that reveal his shift. The photo he still keeps, the message he writes but never sends, the way your name surfaces in conversation when he doesn't mean for it to. These are not coincidences, they are signs of a heart awakening to what it can no longer deny. The universe has been pressing him, shaking him, whispering through every reminder, this is not over. This was never meant to end in silence. For you, Virgo, this is confirmation. You weren't imagining the bond. You weren't exaggerating the pull. What you felt was real, because it was written long before this lifetime. His awakening is the recognition of that truth, the remembrance of a love that is karmic, destined, undeniable. And once a soul wakes up to this level of connection, there is no turning back. If you've ever felt that someone's energy never left you, even when their body did, leave the word truth in the comments, because that is the awakening unfolding here. The return does not come wrapped in grand gestures or polished speeches. It comes trembling, raw, and honest. Spirit shows that when he reaches out, it may not be with fireworks, but with something far more powerful, the courage to admit his fear. A short message, a cautious hello, an apology that doesn't sound rehearsed but feels like his heart finally breaking open. For so long, silence was his shield, but now every piece of that shield has become too heavy to carry. His return is not about pride. It is about survival, because loving you quietly has become unbearable. He wants to explain what broke him, the weight of his old wounds, the times fear dictated his choices, the shame of not being able to show up for the love he felt so deeply. This is not about erasing the past. It is about transforming it. He knows words alone won't heal what was fractured, so he comes not just to speak, but to prove through action that he has changed. His apology is only the beginning. The real redemption is consistency, showing you day by day that he is ready to hold the love he once ran from. For you, Virgo, this moment will carry a mix of emotions, relief, perhaps caution, definitely. And Spirit asks you to honor both. You don't have to rush forgiveness. You don't have to surrender your boundaries. His return is an offering, not a demand. And what makes it sacred is not that he finally comes back, but that he comes back willing to be seen unguarded, imperfect, but present. This is where the new story begins, not with fantasy, but with truth. And truth, no matter how small it sounds at first, has the power to rebuild everything. If you believe apologies only matter when backed by action, write action in the comments, because that is the path this return must take. When he pictures the future now, It isn't filled with fleeting thrills or temporary highs. It is built on the steady, tender vision of a life with you. Spirit shows me the 10 of Cups shining brightly here, the dream of a shared home. Laughter echoing in a kitchen. Quiet mornings where coffee tastes sweeter simply because you're sitting across the table. This isn't fantasy born of loneliness. It's clarity born of loss. Only in your absence did he realize that no one else could ever fill that space. The separation sharpened his vision. Where once he might have taken your presence for granted, now every memory is a reminder of what true belonging feels like. He sees you not just as a lover, but as a partner in the truest sense, the person to walk beside him in the ordinary and extraordinary alike. It's not about grand adventures or perfect days. It's about sacred consistency, about knowing that even in storms, he has a safe harbor in you. I see him imagining the little things, the moments that carry more weight than fireworks, holding hands in the grocery store, whispering jokes before falling asleep, seeing your smile after a long day and feeling the tension in his chest dissolve. The life he envisions is not a fairy tale. It is real, imperfect, but deeply fulfilling. And that's what makes it sacred. And there's more. Spirit shows this isn't only his personal longing, it is also part of the soul contract you share. The balance of yin and yang, the intertwining of divine masculine and feminine energies, was never meant to end in silence. It was always leading to a vision of union that heals not just the two of you, but ancestral cycles that weighed on your families for generations. This is why the pull feels so unshakable. It isn't just love, it's purpose for you. Virgo, the question is no longer, does he love me? The energy makes it clear he does, and always did. The question now is, can you open your heart to the possibility of this future, knowing it will not look like the past? Because the past was marked by fear, but the future he sees is built on honesty, devotion, and balance. If you can already feel the vision of shared joy tugging at your heart, drop the word future in the comments, because that's the energy aligning for you now. Even with all this clarity, Spirit shows there is still one shadow he must face before stepping fully into this love, the shadow of his own self-worth. For years, he has carried the belief that he is not enough, that love will see his flaws and turn away. It is this wound, more than anything else, that kept him silent. And even now, as he prepares to return, the fear whispers, what if I am rejected again? This is the final test, to show up not as a perfect man, but as an honest one, to stand before you with trembling hands yet steady eyes, knowing that vulnerability is the only bridge love can walk across. Spirit reminds us if he tries to come back without confronting this inner battle, the cycle would only repeat. But now the difference is clear. He is no longer running. He is slowly, painfully, courageously learning to see himself as worthy of you, worthy of love, worthy of a future that doesn't collapse under the weight of old fears. For you, Virgo, this means patience. The process may feel slow, but slow does not mean stagnant. It means the foundation is being built strong enough to last. When he does step forward, it will be with a heart that has faced its demons, not hidden from them. And that changes everything. If you believe true love can only thrive when both hearts are healed, comment the word trust, because that is what Spirit is asking of you now. There comes a point in every soul's journey when running is no longer an option. Spirit shows me that this moment has arrived for him, and it is marked by the unmistakable energy of judgment. This is not a gentle whisper, it is a thunderclap that shakes him to his core. It is the karmic mirror being held up so close that he cannot look away. All the excuses, all the walls, all the stories he told himself to justify silence are crumbling in the face of truth. For the first time, He sees clearly the cost of fear. He sees the nights you spent wondering, doubting, hurting. He feels the weight of promises that were never spoken, the opportunities for honesty that slipped away. And yet, along with the pain, there is awakening. Judgment is not about punishment, it is about rebirth. It calls him to shed the version of himself that was ruled by wounds and step into the man he was always meant to become. Imagine the intensity of this realization. The love he tried to protect by hiding it has become the very love that demands exposure. Spirit shows me a vision of him writing words with trembling hands, rehearsing a truth that both terrifies and frees him. I loved you, and I was afraid. I left, but my soul never did. These are not lines of poetry. They are the raw, unpolished words of someone finally willing to be seen. And here lies the twist. His return is not only about you, it is also about his own survival. On a soul level, he knows that staying silent, staying disconnected means staying trapped in a cycle that will destroy him from the inside. But stepping back toward you, toward truth, is the path of healing, not just for this relationship, but for his life as a whole. Spirit makes it clear he cannot hide anymore. Silence has turned into poison, and speaking his truth is the only antidote. This is the climax of his journey, the point where karma, love, and destiny collide. You are not just the woman he loves. You are the mirror that calls his higher self into being. You are the proof that love is worth the risk, that vulnerability is the only way to truly live. And when judgment calls, no soul can resist for long. So, Virgo, the question Spirit places before you is powerful when he comes forward. Stripped of pride, trembling but real. Will you open the door? Will you allow the past to be transformed into a new story? Or will you let the silence remain the final word? If someone came to mind as I spoke these words, write the first letter of their name in the comments, because Spirit may be showing you exactly who this message is about. So here we are, Virgo, standing at the edge of a cycle that once felt endless. What began as silence has unfolded into awakening. The person who once walked away believing distance was protection has now discovered the opposite, that silence was the wound, and truth is the only medicine. Spirit makes it clear this connection was never ordinary. It was fated, designed to shake loose the fears and shadows that neither of you could face alone. The time apart was not punishment. It was preparation. You needed space to grow into the version of yourself who knows her worth, who refuses to settle for half love. He needed space to confront the lies he told himself, to realize that fear could no longer dictate his choices. Both of you have been walking parallel paths of healing, and now those paths are beginning to converge once again. This return, when it comes, will not be a repeat of the past. It cannot be, because you are not the same people you once were. He is no longer the man who hides behind silence, and you are no longer the woman who waits for answers in the dark. The love that reemerges is built on truth, on equal devotion, on a foundation that has been tested by absence and proven unshakable. Spirit's message is simple: the storms have passed. What lies ahead is calmer, clearer, and stronger. The question now is whether you are ready to receive this love as it was always meant to be, whole, healed, and aligned. Virgo, before we close, Spirit is asking me to speak directly to your heart. This isn't just a message about someone else's journey, it's about you. The love story unfolding here is powerful, yes, but it is also a mirror showing you how much you've grown, how deeply you've learned to stand in your own worth, how fiercely you've continued even in silence. You have carried the weight of unanswered questions, the ache of abandonment, and yet here you are, still listening, still open, still believing in love even after the pain. That is strength. That is rare. That is divine. But here's the truth that pierces deeper. The person you've been waiting for, the one who walked away, is being pushed by spirit to face what they once denied. They will come back, not in the way they left, not half-hearted, not silent, not broken, but raw, honest, trembling, and real. And when they do, the universe will place a choice in your hands. Do you open the door and allow this love to be reborn, or do you close it and continue walking the path you've built alone? This choice is not about desperation. It's not about clinging to the past. It's about recognizing destiny when it knocks. Spirit is saying this is not an ordinary bond. This is soul deep, written across lifetimes, tested by karma, refined through fire. And now, after the storms, you are being offered the calm, the chance to experience love that is not rushed, not fragile, but strong enough to last through every season. I want you to pause for a moment and feel your body as you hear this. Did a name flash through your mind? Did your heart beat faster at the thought of someone specific? That is not coincidence. Spirit is speaking directly to you. And if you felt it, if you know exactly who I'm talking about, write the first letter of their name in the comments. Don't overthink it. Just trust what your intuition gave you. That single act of naming can be the key that opens the next chapter. Because this isn't only about them proving their transformation, it's also about you standing firm in your truth. You are not here to be chosen out of fear. You are here to be chosen out of love. You are not here to settle for silence. You are here to experience devotion. Spirit is saying the reunion is being prepared, but the final piece is your readiness to receive. So here's my invitation. If your soul feels the pull of this message, declare it in the comments. Write, I am ready if you're ready to welcome what's meant for you. Write, trust if you're still holding space for divine timing. And if someone's name or face keeps haunting your thoughts as I speak, write their first initial now. This isn't just interaction, it's a ritual, a signal to spirit, a way of saying I see the message, and I claim the truth. Virgo, the silence is ending, the return is coming, and when it arrives, it won't be two broken halves trying to complete each other. It will be two whole souls choosing to create a love that was always destined to be reborn.